So, very good morning, my dear students. So, in the basic microbiology and phytopathology class, so we were discussing the terminologies and the mode of attack of plant pathogens. So, today also we are going to continue with the mode of attack of plant pathogens. So, before starting this lecture, so I can revise what we studied in the last class, right? So you all know the chemical weapons of the plant pathogens so play a major role to break the defense of the host plant to initiate the infection. Right? So there are several chemical substances we call it as enzymes, toxins, growth regulators, and the polysaccharides play a major role and act as a chemical weapons of the different group of plant pathogen. Not all the group of plant pathogen will not use all the chemical weapons. Some will use enzymes, some will use toxins, some will use growth regulators. So finally, if the defense is broken, then the infection will initiate. So in the last class, we detailedly started to study the enzymes. You all know there are three different groups of enzymes, cutinases and pectinases and celluloses. Right? So there are three different enzymes, so mainly excreted by the plant pathogens. Why? So because these are the external barriers or the part of the structural component of the plants, because cutin and pectin and hemicellulose, lignin and polysaccharides like starch and lipids, those are the structural component of the plant. So to if the pathogen want to disintegrate, then the pathogen should excrete or produce these enzymes, cutinases, pectinases and cellulases, right? So these three enzymes, so cutinases, cellulases, and pectinases. But some pathogens, especially a specific group of fungal pathogens, we call it as the fungal group from the Basidium mycota. They are also produced as a lignases, because lignin is a very hardy substance found in the higher plants. To break the lignin, so it need lignases. So a certain group of Basidium mycota fungi, especially the mushroom group fungi, right? They are producing lignases because they play a major role to decomposition of the woods, right, in the forest. How they are breaking these structural components, especially you all know the many plants, the external region you can find the waxes. So if the wax is present in the cuticle, some funguses produce in certain unspecific enzymes. These specific enzymes can able to break the short chain fatty acids found in the waxes, especially the fungi we call it as a Fuchsinia codi. This Fuchsinia codi mean the rust fungi causing the rust disease in the Codium vulgare. Codium vulgare is we call it as a barley, right? Fuchsinia codi. So cutin, the another structural component of the plant epidermis, you can find the cutin. So this is also very hardy substances. So to degrade, to disintegrate the cutin, so they are producing cutinases. So why the cutinases expression? So the scientific studies confirm that when if the pathogen want to produce a cutin more amount, so they should not have the glucose. If the glucose excretion is high in the structure, the surface of the plant, then this is suppress the expression of the cutin excreting gene. And this is the molecular mechanism, how these genes are working to produce, because the enzymes, whatever the enzyme we are talking or discussing here, those are the proteins. If any organism want to produce a protein, so they have to, this is related with the gene. If the gene is properly encoding, then different enzymes the plant, any organism can produce, right? So therefore, these studies how these gene responsible for producing proteinase, how it is activated, because in the absence of the glucose, if the glucose is there, then the gene will not be activated, right? Gene will not be activated. especially in the germ tube region, right? Germ tube region of a certain pathogen. So which pathogens are mostly producing the cutinases? For example, we are taking the Fusarium, Penicillium, and Botrytis. So these fungi, so mainly they are producing these cutinases. So because mainly if you are seeing that the Fusarium nowadays is a very big problem, so they can break the cutins region present in the root, internal epidermis regions. And the Penicillium and Botrytis mainly you can find it, they are causing the mold disease, rottings. If you want to the rotting, why it is, we are seeing, looking at that as a symptom, as a rotting symptom, because of the structural component, cutin, hemicellulase and cellulase, those things are disintegrated. That's what you are finding is error rot, right? So then pectic substances and other components, right? So the pectinase, especially the pectinase polysaccharides, right? So the enzyme to disintegrate these polysaccharides, the enzyme needed, we call it as an pectinases. There are two types. So yeah, sometimes it's may the confused with the people. So pectinases and pectiolytic enzymes, both are same enzymes. So these enzymes, if it is produced, this chain, polysaccharide chain will get break. Mainly in the middle lamella, you can find the pectin, right? So that's mainly the rot-causing fungus. They are breaking this pectin. They are breaking the pectin. So there are several components. So pectin methyl esterases and polygalacturonases and pectin lyases. Those three different type of enzymes, when we call it as a pectiolytic enzyme, they may call it as a group of these three enzymes. So work in different chain region of these pectin, and they can break into different components. So that's how, so the ability of the pathogen to break certain areas, right? So pectinases also these two types, endopectinases and ectopectinases. So that's how we are dividing this one as a three: pectin methyl esterases and polygalacturinases. Pectin. Some are endo, some are ectopectinases, right? So this is working mechanism. That's what I am explaining that, right? So pectin degradation produce many diseases. So many disease causing agents are producing because they need to break this pectin. Why? So in the middle lamella, mainly the pectin components will be there. So if the pathogen want to go inside, they want to break these middle lamella, otherwise pathogen cannot go in, right? So that's how the cell wall is get weakened. The middle lamella is broken, the cell wall is get weakened, then pathogen can go in, especially the soft rot or rot producing functions. That's what I told you, I earlier explained that. So brown rot, Rovinia, Pseudomonas. So these are rot causing funguses. Their target is to break the celluloses, pectinases, and hemicellulases. In these three components, these three components are broken, then you can expect definitely a rot, right? Definitely a rot. If something is bleeding from the plant and other thing, so it indicates that the lignin has broken, right? Lignin. If the middle lamella is broken, definitely during the rot time you can smell the SO2, right? Because in the pectin, in the middle lamella, you can find so many amount of sulfur, right? Sulfur is there. That's how SO2 is released. Another component is the cellulose. You all know the cellulose is a major component of the plant cell wall. So therefore, the celluloses produced by these even bacteria, even fungi, even nematodes. These three organisms can produce celluloses to break these polysaccharide into different components. So finally, cellulose get broken. Right? Cellulose get broken. So the organisms are responsible. The Fusarium, mainly the Fusarium, the will-causing fungi and Rhizoctonia solani. So they are causing the the cholera, Rhizoctonia. Sometimes Rhizoctonia causing the damping of, and Fusarium moniliforme. So different species, right? Moniliforme and Sclerotium rolsi. This is Sclerotium rolsi is causing the cholera, and the Rhizoctonia mainly responsible for damping. So these organisms, especially first, the target is to break the celluloses before going in, right? Before going, and then the hemicelluloses. Hemicelluloses, you all know, it's a polysaccharides of it's a component of the different polymers, right? Polymers. So the cellulases is working on these hemicellulose polymers. They are producing different monomers. So that's how it easily get broken. So this mechanism is linked with the food chemistry, right? Because all these things are you study or you would have studied in the food chemistry, it's biochemistry. Because why? You have biological components, right? Biocomponents. So that's how I would have studied those things in the advanced level chemistry and the food chemistry. So the certain fungal groups, right? Certain fungal groups, Sclerotium and Sclerotinia, Diplodea, viticolia. So those funguses, they are producing mainly the hemicellulose breaking enzymes, hemicellulase. Hemicellulase. Another compound is their lignin. So lignin, only small group of microorganisms capable of degrading the lignin. That's what I told you, the Basidiomycota fungi. The Basidiomycota fungi produces the lignases. So that's how even the plant component is recycled or decomposed and recycled. So because of the lignin degradation, only two members play a major role. One is termite, other one is the Basidiomycota fungi, especially the mushroom groups. So play a major role into decomposition of the dead plant, woody plant material. Otherwise, you cannot expect the woods. Right? So they are in the forest. The plant is dying, wood will be there for a long time. How it is get decomposed in the forest? So because of this lignin degradation. Otherwise, other organisms cannot work. Once this lignin is broken down only, other organism can easily go into decompose things. Who are the lignin brokers? Termite and the Basidiomycota fungi. They can able to produce lignases. So in this fungal group from the Basidiomycota, especially Ceratocystis paradoxa is causing the stem bleeding. This is a pathogen. You have seen that in your coconut trees or big trees. So because of this one. But some species, it has been reported that fusarium of some species, but mainly from the Basidiomycota fungi, they are producing the lignases. So that's all for the the different celluloses. But other than that, so certain components also will be there in the plant: protein, starch, and lipids. So to break these proteins and starch and lipids, other than that, these chemicellulases, pectinases, lignases, and cutinases, these when the organism, invading organism, also producing amylases, proteases, invertases, lipases to break further these molecules, because these molecules they are going to take as a food, right? They are going to take as a food. So because these are structural components of protein, several the chains will be there: short chain fatty acids, long chain fatty acids. So that's how it need ester bond, right? Different type of bonds are there to break these enzymes are needed. Otherwise, so these cannot be, macromolecules cannot be converted into micromolecules. So molecules are only consumable by the organism, right? That is how in the enzyme system is there in all organisms. And protein, right? So you all know the proteins. So proteolytic enzymes, proteases, and there are two proteases types, right? Proteinases and peptidases. So these different type of proteases enzymes will be act on the plant pathogen. So especially the blast fungi, right? Blast fungi, late blight fungi, and brown spot causing fungi, Helminthosporium oryzae, Phytophthora infestans, late blight, Phytophthora oryzae, blast in rice, right? These organisms, it has been reported they are mainly producing these proteases enzymes. That's how the plant is getting spot and burn like appearances. The starch, right? So these starch is a glucose polymers, right? Glucose polymers. These certain organisms, especially aspergillus, they are producing amylose and amylopectin to break the starch into glucose. So then they can easily consume that glucose. And lipids. Lipids, you all know that it's a fatty acid, it's a chain, right? So chain, so many fungal They are converting this lipid into lipid globules because storage of the fungus is the lipids. So therefore, they can able to produce a lipolytic enzyme, lipases, phospholipases. There are different enzymes. So these macrolipids are broken, and then fat globules will be there. Then fat globules, fungus can use it for their energy source. So use it as an energy source and store it. Especially these organisms, whatever the organism causing the rot, instead of these hemicellulase and pectinases, they are also producing amylases and invertases to convert or further disintegrate or convert the plant nutrition material as a food for the Sclerotium rosvi, Botulism area, as a gray mold and black rot. Or sometimes this is called as a subprotein current, right? And Televiopsis vesicola is they are causing the black protein current, right? So those aspects, so these enzymes play a major role. This is, we call it as a chemical weapons. One of the chemical weapons are enzymes, right? The second group of compounds we call it as a toxins. So toxins mean these pathogen can only produce by their own. This is you will not identify this one in other organism. That is we call it as a toxins. So toxins is sometimes is mainly a protein compound. Toxins we call it as a proteins. These proteins may be toxic to the host plant or other organism. If they are present in there, it will not be a toxins. Right? It will not be a toxin. So this is maybe if it is injected or ejected into the food materials, it can kill it or it can disintegrate or it may be poisonous. So for other organism, it considered as a foreign particles. Therefore, it is maybe dying of the plant. So if plant, so the host will be killed. That's what we call it as a toxins. Right? So different groups of organism producing different, even fungi. If you are taking the fungi group, there it will produce different toxins. Even bacteria, different toxins. Nematode, different toxins, different nematodes. Right? So these toxins, it acts as an elicitor molecule. Elicitor molecules mean for the first time released by the pathogen to recognize its host is suitable for the infection. That is we call it as a toxins act as an elicitor molecules. There are two different type of toxins are there. One is host specific, other one is host non-specific. Okay? Host specific, other one is a host non-specific. Host tox, if the pathogen is producing host non-selective or non-specific toxins, these pathogen can use a wide range of causes. Why? Because toxin is not specific. So therefore, these pathogen can use a wide host. Host specific toxin means this is very dangerous. Only certain group of plant can be, this toxin can be toxic for certain group. For example, if you are taking the rice, if the blast pathogen is producing certain specific toxin, only the rice, not only maize or other things. But if the host non-specific mean this pathogen is producing enzymes, so different cause, maybe wheat or even cereal crops, all see wheat, barley, other groups. That is we call it as a host non-specific. So first we are going to take here, it's a host non-specific toxins. So one first group is we call it as a TAP toxin. It's a host non-selective or non-specific toxin. TAP toxin. So TAP toxin is mainly produced by the Pseudomonas syringae Padova tabaci. Right? Pseudomonas syringae Padova tabaci mean this tabaci, only tobacco, nicotine tobacco is we call it as a tobacco. These Pseudomonas syringae, if it is attacking only tobacco, we are consider this one as a specific group of fungi. We call it as we put it as a Pathova, PV tabaci. Right? Pseudomonas syringae Pathova tabaci. That is causes a wildfire disease on tobacco. Only it can cause a wildfire in tobacco if tetrodotoxin is produced in tobacco. But these pathogen, the producing tetrodotoxin, they have identified they can attack on other plants too. Right? Strain Petova tabaci occurring in other hosts, bean and soybean, right? And coffee and oats and maize, these tetrodotoxin can work, but it will not cause for wildfire disease. But if the pathogen is attacking, they will produce this enzyme. They will collect as a host. Right? They will select this one as a host. If it is not available, but it is there in attacking in tobacco, then definitely they will cause the disease. That is a thing. That is a thing that is we call as a host non-selective toxin, host non-specific toxin. Second group is there phaseolotoxin, especially Phaseolum vulgaris, Phaseolum, you mean Phaseolum bean family, beans. Phaseolotoxin. The Pseudomonas syringae Padova fasciolicola. Fasciolicola means these fungi, these bacteria. This is bacteria. Right? Pseudomonas syringae is a bacteria. The Pseudomonas syringae, no, sorry, the fungi. Pseudomonas syringae and Pseudomonas syringae, this bacterium, right? These are bacterium. Sorry, it's a bacterium, right? This bacterium, it is attacking on the legume family, right? So it can cause, in the bean family, it can cause a blight disease. But it can attack in other legumes too. It can attack other legumes too. When it attack, it will produce phaseolotoxin, but you will not expect this blight. That is a thing, is a specific. If the host, this main host, bean is not there, this legume act as a co-host. Act as a third group is there, tentoxin. Tentoxin is produced by the Alternaria. It's an Alternaria alternata is a fungi. So mainly spot producing fungi, leaf spot. So if any plants, right, if any plants, these Alternaria alternata can cause spots or chlorosis. It is not specific. That is we call it as a tentoxin, Alternaria alternata. We are not telling as a pathova or something, because Alternaria alternata, it can cause even tomato, even potato, even bean, that can cause a disease. It's a tentoxin, it's a broad spectrum. Another one is a Cercospora. Cercospora. This is also leaf spot causing fungi. This is also producing leaf spot and blight in any plants. Right? Any plants, corn, beans, or Solanaceae family crop, or Cucurbitaceae family crop, it can cause, we call it as a cercospora. So therefore, the tetrodotoxin, phaseolitoxin, tentoxin, cercosporin, those are host non-selective or broad spectrum or host non-specific toxins. Right? If they are selecting that one as a host, definitely they will produce this toxin. Another one is their host specific toxin or host selective toxin. Particular host is, for the selection of the host, they are producing this. For example, the Cochlear bolus victoriae. This means this is a fungus causing the blast and maize. Right? So this, if the Victorin is produced, so in the oat plant, right, they are causing the blast disease in oat, right? Basal portion of the oat plants, if it is produces, definitely it can go to the leaves and root and other areas. It can destroy it, can cause a blight or blast. But if the Cochlear bolus victoria is attacking other cereal crops, wheat or rice, it will not produce this toxin. This means these pathogen cannot attack that groups. The same family group, the pathogen will not attack. If they are finding odds only, it will produce Victorin or HV toxin. Or HV toxin or Victorin can cause a disease on these odds, not others. That is we call it as a host specific. This one is Victorin. Other toxin is there, T toxin. Cochlear bolus heterostrophus, right? Cochlear bolus heterostrophus is causing the blight on corn, maize, right? Maize. So this is only produced by not all the Cochlear bolus heterophorus will not produce the T toxin. Only the race T, like Pathova, like race T. We are telling is a race T mean only this toxin is something different. Other all the metabolic activities are same by the pathogen. Only this protein is something different in produced by these pathogen. Cochlear bolus heterophorus race T. Definitely we will tell. We should tell as a Cochlear bolus heterophorus race T. This means only producing this T toxin, this group. That can cause, right? That can cause on southern cone leaf blight. If the Cochlear bolus heterophorus other groups other than the race T, it is attacking, it will not produce a southern cone blight. We are commonly called it as a leaf blight. We will not call it as a southern cone because southern is something different. That's what we is caused by the race T. Right? So other one is there HC toxin. So Cochlear bolus carbonum. So Cochlear bolus heterophorus. The race one of the Cochlear bolus carbonum, they are producing ear rot, leaf spot in maize. We call it as a northern leaf spot. If it is produced, means some chemical present in the symptom is different. The symptom also different. The chemical we call it as an HC toxin is the only specific toxin. If you are isolating this pathogen from the host, you can detect this HC toxin. That's what we call it as a northern leaf spot or ear rot in maize. Otherwise, we will not cause it as a northern. We will definitely call it as a leaf spot or ear rot if the race one is not attacked. Right? That's of the same thing. The Fusarium oxysporum Forma specialis cubensis is causing the banana wilting banana. Right? So there also you can find there are the 4 races: race 1, race 2, race 3, and race 4. All the races will not attack all the banana. Only the race 4 is now dominant, it can attack all the bananas. Race 1 and race 2 is present, specific group. The bananas they will attack or not others. This is because of the specific encoding protein selecting the host. So that is different, right? For example, some of you cannot able to eat tomato. If you are eating tomato, some may be itching. Because why? So because your protein, your body is thinking that is a foreign allergy. Some people can eat all the tomato, whatever it is. Some people will not eat even prawn or crab. Then definitely allergy. Right? Even Dioscorea, king jam, people will not eat because it's making itching. Why? Because of this. Consider your body is or your protein is considered as an allergy. But other people, it will eat whatever it is they can eat, they will not show any symptoms. Like the same things. Right? The same things. The third group of the chemical group we call it as a growth regulators. So growth regulators, there are different there are 5 type of growth regulators: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin. There are different. This is we call it as a plant hormones. The hormones mean the certain level is present in the any plant or any human or any body. This is inducing something. If it is concentration is very high or low, definitely we feel it as a sick. We are calling it as a sick. Why? It's an abnormal hormonal imbalances. Right? So what will happen if certain invading pathogen, for example, if you're taking Exobasidium, right? Exobasidium, Ustilogombetes, these are Basidiomycota groups. If the Basidiomycota fungi is attacking, for example, Ustilogo is causing the CIMAT, Exobasidium is causing the gall, what will, if the auxin is higher, if the pathogen is producing more amount of auxin or induce the plant to produce more amount of auxin, certain cells will enlarge and proliferate. That's what you can find that in plants as a tumors or galls. Like this, a CIMAT is a pedigrine will become a poppy, like a pop endosome. Right? That's a problem. So pathogens induces the hormone. These induced hormones, your plant will look sick. Certain gibberellin. The gibberellin is another hormone. So it is elongations responsible for the growth. If it is there in the recommended level, the plant, there will be no problem because it's promoting the growth. If the gibberellin is high, your plant will become tall, more tall. Or that from the tall plants, the first time they identified, right? From the Gibberella fujikori, especially they identified from the rice plant. The one rice plant, the farmer field one rice plant was very tall. So the farmer was confused. Then they sent the samples to the laboratory. They isolated the fungi present in their Gibberella fujikori. It is a producing enzyme, the gibberellin, similar hormone in the plants. From that they identified. Nowadays, artificial gibberellin they are producing from these organisms. If this fungi is attacking crop, definitely it will induce more and more amount of gibberellin, then your plant will become more tall, then it will sick. Your plant will be sick. Certain, other than this gibberella, certain they have identified certain group of fungi and nematodes they are producing. Another group is the cytokinin. The cytokinin is another plant hormone. So this is prevent the inhibition of these senescence. If the invading pathogen, especially the clubroot, Plasmodiaphora brassicae, clubroot causing the fungi. Plasmodiaphora, so we call it as a fungal-like organism. Plasmodiaphora brassicae causing the clubroot in cabbage, or CIMAT causing fungi, Oscillogomades and other things, and rust fungi. Fight these fungi groups and certain bacterial group, especially the Rhodococcus. If these pathogens are attacking their respective host, they will create this cytokinin shortage or accumulation. If it is creating shortage and accumulation, then the plant will look like a sick. Their productivity, growth, and reproduction will be affected. Right? So that's how you see the clubroot induces a cytokinin. That's how the goal is produced. Your plant root will become a bigger. CIMAT is similar. Right? CIMAT in rust, similar. And another one is there, ethylene. So normally we are producing, using the ethylene for abscissing, for fruiting. Right? Chlorosis, normally its plant function is ripening, right? Stimulation and advantageous. Certain fungi group and bacteria group, especially if you are taking the bacteria Ralstonia solanacearum, they are induces the production of the ethylene. If it is induces the production of ethylene, mean your plants will immature yellowing of the fruits. You haven't identified because your plant is sick. Because why this hormone imbalanced? So in this way, the growth regulators, plant pathogens use as a weapons to break the normal function of these host. Last group is we call it as a polysaccharides. So polysaccharide is produced by your plant or invading pathogen, especially the pathogens that are attacking in the vascular region, especially the Pseudomonas, or Ralstonia solanaceae that are causing wilt. Right? Some of these fusariums. Right? So this bacteria producing excess induces the production of the more amount of polysaccharide. If it is more amount of polysaccharide is induced, so it is like a mucus. Why? This xylem tube is there. If the pathogen is not attaching with the xylem bone, then it will not cause the disease. To attach or to block, they are producing, induces the more amount of production of these polysaccharides. Then only the pathogen can attach with the cell wall, the wall of the xylem tissues, then it can initiate or proliferate or growth and reproduce. For that purposes, so they are producing silmy polysaccharides. We call it as a silmy polysaccharides, like a mucus that can block your xylem vessels. So then your plants will not get more amount of nutrition and food. Then your plant will look like a wilt, initiate the wilting, mechanical lock or blockage of the xylem vessels. Right? These are the 5 ways. So pathogen can use their weapons. One is we call it as the mechanical barriers. So mechanical forces, they can use it. So if it is mechanical forces is something different than the chemical weapons. So chemical weapons, there are 5 groups. Right? One is we call it as an enzymes. Second group we call it as enzymes. In the enzyme, there are 3 different groups: pectinases, chitinases, ligninases, cuitinases. Other than that, the starch, lipid, and protein degrading enzymes. Second group is we call it as a toxin. Select host specific toxin, host non-specific toxin. Host specific non-specific toxin you can as a tap toxin, toxin, circus toxin, alternin, right? And the host specific toxin, so T toxin, Cochlear bolin. So there are different type of specific toxins. Then you study these enzymes. Plant growth regulators play a major role, right? To inducing or reducing level by the pathogen. So then the plant will become as a sick. There are 4 type of growth regulators: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, and ethylene. Then the polysaccharides. As a last, polysaccharides. So plant certain pathogens, they are producing silmy polysaccharides to block your xylem or phloem vascular tissues. Then it will initiate the wilt. These are the chemical weapons. So how the pathogen use their weapons? There are 2 broad categories: physical and chemical. Then the physical and chemical, there are different components we study. So against these weapons, plants should use their anti-weapons, or we call it as a plant defense mechanisms, right? Plants defense mechanism. How these plant defense mechanism? So we are going to study. Before that, if you have any questions, please you can ask. So we can continue now. So the plant defense mechanisms. We told that the plant, pathogen, invading pathogen, they are producing chemicals as a weapon, or they are using the physical forces as a weapon to attack pathogen, attack host or plant. To defend the weapons or defend the attack, plants also have certain mechanisms. These, if you want to identify these mechanisms, study these different mechanisms, we should study bit detailing the host plant resistance, right? So as a broad plant defense mechanism, so you can find this as a structural defense mechanism is there, biochemical defense mechanism is there. The structural defense mechanism, there are 2. One is pre-existing structural defense, mean before pathogen attack, certain structural mechanism will be there. Post-infection or induced structural defense, mean after the attacking of the pathogen. So once your pathogen produce weapon, the plant will produce certain structures to defend the further invasion as a barrier. Which is like a structure, like a physical causes by the pathogen, like a structural defense of the host. Like a chemical weapon of the pathogen, the plant, they have their own chemical weapons to defend it. That is also true. One is pre-existing biochemical defenses, other one is a post-infectional defense. So how this defense system is working, then we have to go a bit into the host resistance, right? Host resistance, how it is governing the host resistance. So this is something elaboration, right? Resistance. If the plant is defending, it means that the plant is resistant. If the plant is resistant, if the pathogen is attacking, we are calling it a pathogen is a virulent, right? In the pathogen side, we are calling it as a virulent. The host side, if host is defending, we call it as a resistant, right? You should very carefully observe it, right? Pathogen attacking, virulence. Host defend, resistance, right? Pathogen attacking, virulence. Host defense, resistance. Okay, so in the resistance means, so it is genetic. All the characters of the any organism governed by the genetics makeup of a particular organism, right? The genetic makeup, if you are taking the gene or the gene sequence or in the chromosomes, your gene will be present, a DNA material. So DNA material will be there as in your nucleus. So it is there in the chromosome. In the chromosome, you can find the C, A, G, C, T, A, G, C, T, like each and every 3 single nucleotides. We call it as a single nucleotide, right? So they are encoding the proteins. These proteins are helping for the functions. That's how all the organisms working. Similar, it's pathogen too. 3 coding system. Some, if the DNA material consisting, if the material, the genetic material is a makeup of deoxyribonuclease, we call it as a DNA. If the ribonuclease, we call it as an RNA. There are so many viruses, RNA viruses, many organisms. Mainly higher plants and animals are DNA. RNA will be there in certain region, but major component of the genetic makeup is a DNA. Right? So in organisms, right? So the whole gene of the organism we call it as a genome. Right? 22 pairs plus 1 pair, 23 pairs in the human being, like in 2N. Like in other high organisms, sometimes 4N. Polarity level will be vary. 4N plants, sometimes 6N. For example, we are taking the wheat 6N. We are taking the rice 2N. We are taking the strawberry 4N. It's vary, right? Polarity level is vary. I think you would have studied in the maybe genetics in advanced level. The plant, right? In the plant, so in the genetic, we are taking the gene of the plant. The gene, certain genes present in the plant, so it can act as a governing of the resistance. It may be single gene, it may be the polygene. Polygenes mean many genes. For example, for our growth is not definite, or short or high. We cannot tell it. Why? Some are short, some are bit height, some are bit height, some are bit height, some are bit height. It indicates that many genes are involving. If all the genes are dominant, some people may be very tall. The all genes are recessive, some people very short. In between, different genes are dominant and recessive. Your height will vary. Right? If you're taking the black hair, only black hair or brown hair, there are 2 different. Eye, black eye or blue eye, 2 difference. Right? some character, so like that, some characters are governed by a single gene. Some characters are governed by the polygene, many genes. If the character is governed by, or mean resistant against the plant pathogen, the resistance is governed by a single gene, we call it as a monogenic resistance or vertical resistance. If the gene is governed by, the character is governed by many genes, we call it as a polygenic resistance or partial resistance, right? So in all of the organisms, right, all the organisms, definitely you can expect the resistance for certain group or mainly the broad spectrum. All the organisms, they have the resistance. Certain people or certain plant group, they have bit more resistance. This is because there are two different categories of resistance are there. One category of resistance we call it as a horizontal resistance. So horizontal resistance means all the organisms. For example, if you are taking the human being, all the people have certain amount of resistance for all. That is we call it as a horizontal. But specific, some people only, they have special resistance to certain group of fungi, bacteria, viruses. That is we call it as a vertical resistance, right? The vertical resistance. For example, if you are taking, you want to take it away, right? Taking the growth, right? The resistant levels and the organism, certain people, some are resistant to certain groups. In some people, they are very resistant. So viral diseases, certain group people are very resistant to fungal diseases. Certain group are very resistant to temperature. It is very. This resistance we call it as vertical resistance. Right? We call it as this one as a vertical resistance. This one we call it as a vertical resistance. This one, right? This one we call it as a horizontal resistance, right? Horizontal. So we call it as a horizontal resistance. So these vertical resistance are governed by the monogenic genes. Vertical resistance are governed by who? Monogenic resistance. Vertical resistance, the monogenic resistance. The monogenic resistance. Horizontal resistance are mainly polygenic resistance because this level, the height will vary people to people, but it's a broad for all. But this one specific to the certain diseases or certain personality. That is we called as a monogenic resistance. Another one is the systemic acquired resistance. You may not be resistance, but giving the foreign body or particle, we are inducing to show your resistance. For example, vaccination. Now, corona vaccination, people are injecting the coronavirus, right? They're injecting coronavirus. It's a very weak virus to show exposed to your body to the virus, then your body will react against that virus, then your body will become a resistant, like horizontal resistance. This state may be a bit high. Why you adapt no more, much more? That we call as a systemic acquired resistance. So there are three different categories of resistance are there, but we are classifying this one as a horizontal and vertical. It's a purely a genetic makeup. Right? Purely a genetic makeup. This is here. If the if the monogenic resistance is working, definitely you can whether disease will come or not come. It's a clear difference. You can expect a clear difference. Disease or not disease. Because single gene is governing, so therefore against working or not working. It's a single gene, so definitely you can clear. But if it is a polygenic resistance mean, you will get, right? I will get no disease, you will get some amount of this, other person will get some more amount of disease, other person will some bit more amount of disease, like that. It's a polygenic, right? Polygenic. So if you are going to develop your plant as resistant to the pathogens, we call it as a resistant breeding program. Nowadays, the breeding programs are there to called as a resistant breeding program, because chemical fungicides are not fungicides are not good, nasty. So to reduce the fungicide application of synthetic chemicals, what we can do is we can boost the resistance of the plant. If they are boosting the resistance of the plant, definitely the plant will not get disease. For the resistant breeding program, you should know about the gene, which gene is responsible for resistance to which pathogen group, or which genes, many genes are involved into the which genes, which against, right? Mainly this monogenic are all stage resistance, mean from the germination until harvesting, these genes will be viable. That's why we call it as a polygenic, monogenic resistance are good, strong resistance. The problem is, if the pathogen is mutated, then if it is producing more races, like for Pseudomonas syringae, Pathova, tobacco, Pseudomonas syringae, Pathova, oryza, like that, if it is producing more races, one races is virulent, then your gene will not be working, deactivated. That is the problem, monogenic. But if it is a polygenic resistance mean, so pathogen should work again many genes, right? So to develop a virulent, it takes times. One. Second, the bad thing is this polygenic resistance, or host, we call it as that's an adult plant resistant. Adult plant resistant. This will work only certain stages of the growth. Sometimes it will work only seedling stage, may not work in adult plant stage. Sometimes it will take time to activate the gene in adult plant stage. If it is activated in adult plant stage, so your yield will not be affected. It is we call it as an adult plant resistance, right? So adult plant resistance are good. Why? If it is activated before flowering, then your latter part of the harvesting stage will not be affected. But this expression, gene expression, is vary with or influenced with environmental temperature and pathogen density. That is the problem. That's how the adult plant resistance or polygenic resistance is not prominent. But for overcome this problem, what they are doing is now, so you know the molecular genetics is advanced gene. Nowadays they are identifying the genes, which gene is monogenic, which gene is polygenic, then try to map the genes by using the molecular markers, molecular biology or biotechnology. Once you have identified the markers very linked to that gene, using that marker, then sequence that gene, right? So whole genome is sequenced. If it is whole genome is sequenced, definitely you know the function of the gene. Then you can cut the gene and or you can transfer the gene by using this marker-assisted selection or marker-assisted backcrossing. Or if you can sequence it, you can clone the gene. So you can cut the gene and you can clone it by using the bacteria. If you are cloning that genes, then definitely you can insert into different. The plant did not have any gene, you can insert in the modern varieties. Transgenic approach, CRISPR editing. right? CRISPR nowadays, what they are doing is they are cutting the genome like CCS and inserting something. That's a CRISPR editing. So people are now suspecting that this coronavirus will develop due to the CRISPR editing. It means the virulence, it was not an it was an avirulent. Now it is virulent. Why? So because people have changed the protein by cutting the gene. So now the protein encoding proteins are very virulent. That's how. So normally it's happening as a natural mutation, but now you are cutting and pasting the genome. But medically it's important. Why? Because certain genetic disorders you can cure it. For by generation by generation, if somebody is blind, if somebody is deaf, it indicates that the gene is silent. The gene present in that generation is silent. Switch on and switch off that gene, you need this one. Your gene is switch on. That's how you would have seen that film, Sixth Sense, then the Surya film, Aramari. What they are doing is they are activating the gene, silence gene, they are activating to show the defense current. Right? Scientifically truth, but as a film, you should not expect like this. Right? The science is truth in that fiction. But they are putting something right at for the business. If you want to, you can go that see the film again, so you can understand how it is working. Okay, that is the resistance. By using these resistant mechanisms, plant is going to defend against that pathogens. Right? Understood? So this defense. So defense against plant, post-existing and pre-existing. So I will continue this one in this, how it is working in the next class. Until now, you have any questions and you can ask